whatever milestones that Black people make against hate, it ends up benefiting all the other people of color. I can't see what his end game is. The Republican Party is the party of racism, is the party of white supremacy, is the party of hate. This is wrong, and it needs to stop.
Everybody wants to go back and drag that piece of history up, but they don't want to go back and deal with what their ancestors did to the indigenous people and to Black people in this country. You got to go. And you got billionaires talking about going to space and Jeff Bezos. Go! Never come back. I hope you get lost. This man has lost his mind.
Boom! Come on, girlfriend! Come on, girlfriend! What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner, 2018 Innovation Award winner given by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. Also, I co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads and fathers that's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. As always, too, I like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. Let's get a little homework out of the way first. Where you're watching this, subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube. If you do it on YouTube, subscribe and also hit the notification bell. So when you hit the notification bell, you get notified of upcoming Epic Conversations. Also, you can like it on Facebook and wherever else you're watching these Epic Conversations live or on replay. And if you are watching this before February 16th, 2013, you have the opportunity to join the last of the three-part series I'm co-hosting in collaboration with Innovation Guelph about how to launch your podcast. So the link is there, and it's an hour and a half of Ask Me Anything About Podcasting. Now, just remember, I don't know everything, but I know enough. Done 4,000 of these, so I think I can pass for most people in regards to questions that they have. So, as always, please, if you have the time, check it out. Let's do a few quick things before we jump on live here. But, I'll save it for that. Let's bring up our two wonderful friends who are with us. Aisha was here last week. We did it on Sunday, and Jill is back. LaLa is still a little bit occupied, but she will be back with us. She is with us in spirit. And hello, Jen Myers. Hope you're doing well. And Jill and Aisha, how are you doing?
Much better than I was, so I'm thankful.
Good. We're glad to have you back.
Convalescing a little bit from, COVID. It wasn't as serious. It was, I kid you not, I didn't think I was going to get it, but it just sort of snuck up on me after my husband got it. And then that was that. It was like, just discombobulated. And the fever is really what was, for me, maybe the worst part of it. Wow. And the fatigue, So, but I'm starting to go out and walk again and walk on my walks. That's it. That's all I can do.
Very nice. Very nice. Aisha, how you doing?
I'm good.
Good. What's been going on in your world?
Well, I have a new job that starts on the 21st. So I'll be working with the Funders Committee for Civic Participation. Focusing on democracy and equality. So I'm very excited about that. And just trying to get through this schizophrenic weather Connecticut's having. I mean, I posted it yesterday, but yesterday was like 61 degrees, but a week ago it was -8 when I woke up.
Yeah.
And so right now it's 30, but tomorrow it's supposed to be 50 something and 50 all week.
It's the same here. It's going like 39 at night and then 75 in the day. And then now it's back down to 50 in the day. It's really all over the place. Really.
Well,
I blame the Martians.
Okay. No balloons.
UFOs are making the weather crazy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Damn.
Black Beauty says, Hi, everyone. Also says, Jill, you are looking marvelous. Number one would know. Is there something I'm missing
No
there?
one would know.
No. Oh, no,
No
one.
one would
Oh,
know.
sorry.
Yeah.
No one. Okay.
Thank you.
My bad. My bad. And
Thank
then
you.
she also says, Aisha, you as well looking marvelous on your and congratulations on your new opportunity, Aisha.
Thank you, darling.
Yes.
Very
and
excited.
and yes, and she, there were two people that you family may know that helped her with references on that little new
Jill and Dr.
yes.
Vibe were very instrumental.
Yes.
Look, they had 5 references, okay? And what I heard was that
go on. I gotta say something about their referencing. There was something I didn't like about the process, but go on.
Yes, 5 references, and because it was a search committee actually, recruited me for it, and 5
hang on,
references.
it's like Blade Runner around here. What the hell is outside my window?
When I got the
Cruising
feedback,
helicopter just flew by.
Look, when I got the feedback about the references, they were like, "Oh my gosh, you had such great references and such a variety of people. How'd you put that together?" I'm thinking to myself, I went with who was available.
By hook or
but I knew that everyone that I selected was a great person, and that we had really good working relationships.
The process, the online process, there was one thing I didn't like. They asked you, what things do you feel she could improve on? And you had to answer that. And I didn't like that. Like, it was almost like,
I just want to say the person that spoke with you, Dr. Vibe, she had a lot to say about you. She was very flattering. She enjoyed talking with you. She said she could talk with you again. I was like, my God, what did he say?
I'm just a nice guy most of the time.
Yeah, but she's like, I really enjoyed that. He was just such an interesting
See, he's
man.
Canadian, Canadian people are the nicest people. Dead giveaway that he wasn't American,
Well, I'm surprised neither of you are asking me about what happened to Toronto mayor.
The mayor?
Oh, okay. So I know most of the people are south of the border here, but we have a gentleman. His name is John Tory. He was going to his 3rd term, and 9:00 last night, he has a press conference. So you're going 9:00 on a Friday. So he's probably in his 60s or 70s. He admitted to having an affair with a former person he managed, a 31-year-old.
Ooh, good for him.
Look, let me tell you something. There's a reason that is not bad. There's a reason they call Connecticut Corrupticate, because we have had a series of mayors who had like about maybe 20 years ago, in the early 2000s, there was a mayor who was running for re-election. It came out that his girlfriend, who is a prostitute, he was having a sexual relationship with her 8-year-old niece and 13-year-old daughter. And that was how he had to say he wasn't running anymore.
Yeah. So he had a press
30-year-old age difference.
What's wrong with your mayor, though? What was is it just because of that, or what else?
Yeah, he said he was going to be resigning. Mm-hmm. And then I don't know if he had it, like, I haven't dug deeply into it, but people have been telling me that I don't know if he had in the press conference last night or he had another one today. He came out front and said we had a consensual sexual relationship.
Were they doing it on office time?
Well, here's the funny thing. So Jill, I hope you're still with us. Your camera's off. But here's the funny thing. He was having the affair with her. The affair allegedly has ended. But this was during the pandemic.
How are you doing that?
You got me, right? I'm going, okay, how did you have time? Now, I got some weird noises going on.
It sounds like a wind chime.
Yeah.
Does Jill have a wind chime going?
Jill, are you with us? like
Jill's
I'm going
MIA right now?
MIA. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, until
she comes back.
Yeah, until we come. Like, I'm hearing these wind chimes. I'm going, okay.
That is so. Oh my gosh! You know, though, I think there might be more to it, Dr. Vibe, because that is. Is he single or is he married?
He's married. Been married for a
okay,
while.
so
Yeah.
that's the issue. Okay, it'd be different if he was single, but
The wind
I mean,
chimes
it
are
can't
back.
be. Look, it can't be any worse than what what's his name, my former governor, when I lived in South Carolina, Sanford did. I mean, Sanford stood in front of his wife and said that he was in love with the mistress. So
Oh,
at least
wow.
at least your mayor didn't drag his wife up to the press conference with him and embarrass her.
Yeah, but he said, he said he was going to be resigning and he's going to take time to work on his his relation with his family. But here's the other thing about a number in the last year, the deputy mayor had a lawsuit against him alleging him of some improprieties sexually with a young. So both the mayor but he didn't resign. Like he represents a riding, but he's a deputy mayor and he had to basically resign from committees and things like that. Like he's still in place, but it's unfortunate because a lot of people thought that he was going to be next in line,
right,
to be mayor. Now, if he would have, a lot of people saying if he would have behaved himself, his path to become mayor would be a clear thing. But now he can't even run right now for the election that's coming up in the next few months.
Well, will he at least take over for the mayor that stepped down?
He can't.
Oh, so who does? What there
is a. Well, he's not the deputy mayor anymore. So the lady there's a lady now who is the deputy mayor. She is now going to fill in until they have an election.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, I'm looking to see who would be the person that comes out with the press conference for Toronto.
He had the press conference last night. He did it himself.
So like the lieutenant governor and all those people, are they commenting? Because I don't.
No, there are different people. I think right now people are in such shock.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And then you guys had your episode today, so it kind of took the heat off of him.
Yeah,
a little bit.
You guys pay too much attention to the United States. What are you doing up there?
Like people are, you
guys look like Spitzer and Wiener and all that. Come on.
So let's say hello, April Watson. Hi from Tampa. Welcome, April. I don't think we've seen you before, so welcome to the family and share night of Ebony Occasions. And by the way, Ebony Occasions celebrated their 3rd anniversary this week as a company. So congratulations on your 3-year anniversary. And she says, congrats, Aisha. With regards to our mayor, I agree. It's more to it. He did a poor job of getting ahead of it. Allegedly, a newspaper broke the story first. And it's interesting because I was talking to someone in the last hour, said she knew about this about a month ago. She was talking. So she heard of rumblings about a month ago about this. So definitely, who knows if there's more to come? Who knows if the lady who he was involved with is going to say anything?
Right. I mean, if you're taking after the United States at this point, it ultimately is going to lead to city money being used to foster and hide this affair. That's happened so often in politics.
Well, the funny thing is, he had said he had just won re-election in the last few months by a huge majority, but he said this was going to be his last term.
So he must have known it was probably going to come out at some point. Maybe he stopped paying whoever.
Don't know, but it's
whoever's keeping quiet.
More to come. Definitely more to come. But like it just really, Sharon Knight goes. He needs Olivia Pope.
Yes,
he needs an exorcist. That's what he needs.
It's Gil Penalosa. That's his name.
No, the mayor's name is John Tory. Jill Penalosa was a gentleman who came in 2nd place in the recent mayor's race to John Tory. But he's already said, I'm going to be running again. It's just going to be interesting to see. There's a number of people who allegedly may come in the race again. But John Tory, that blew up Friday night here. And a lot of people are just in shock. Like they were going they're just really, really in shock in regards to this one. Greetings, Cinnamon. You're on time this week. I know you came in late last week. I hope you caught the replay. You said you were going to. But so it's quite.
Well, we can't judge down here.
No, you don't do that in America. You don't judge.
We can't judge down here because We got Congress people who look. We got Congress people who can't even tell the truth about who they are. Not
On
even
a
their
bright
real
note, on a bright note, in Turkey, they pulled a baby out. It's either a Turkey or Syria. A baby survived after 128 hours under the rubble. They
We're
just
gonna get to
rescued
that
him.
story. Yes, there's some incredible.
Yeah, I saw
stories
some
coming
other
from
ones,
there.
like a 5-year-old and some family members had like survived like in this little tiny hole, like it just like this little kind of like everything fell in around them, but they were safe by that. Just
Crazy.
that, yeah, it was.
We're
Oof,
definitely going to
horrible.
get to that. Definitely.
Mhm.
So let's look at this, Regina. We're just saying Dr. Vibe throwing shade. LOL. Oh gosh. Okay. Well, you know what? I'm humbled when you make comments on me because the ladies are the stars of the show. I'm just hanging out, you know. That's all I'm doing. But let's get to the first comments on last week, the State of the Union speech.
Mm.
Whoo, child. Oh my God. First of all, I have to say that was probably one of the best speeches Joe Biden gave ever.
Right.
He was alert. He was awake. He was on point. And he did very good in terms of getting Republicans to walk into things.
Mhm.
I was stunned here. Now, let me tell you, I spent the whole night myself watching Kevin McCarthy's reaction because I'm like, you know, clearly there's some things here that the Republicans can agree on. They couldn't even clap for democracy. I mean,
No.
in what is it? The party that's about lower taxes couldn't
Right.
clap for lower taxes.
Right.
I just thought that it was shameful. And James Carville said it right about Marjorie Taylor Greene. He called her white trash. He said he had a degree in white trashology and she was white trash.
Totally.
And she was over there looking like a Pomeranian and screaming her lungs out. Like, I mean, there were any number of things that you could have described her as. Between her and Kristen Sinema,
Unhinged.
over the I wish somebody had a split screen of the two of them. You know,
Yeah.
Kristen Sinema in her dress that Adele rejected from the Grammys, and this one looking like a China balloon.
Right.
And the two of them just sitting there. But at least Kristen behaved. But Marjorie Taylor Greene, the fact that Kevin McCarthy.
That's because Kristen promised all the men blowjobs afterwards. So she had done her business.
Jill.
Well, you know, she already had her little meeting with Kevin, though. She already
promised it to the women too.
But you know,
whoever wants it.
I think it was very clever how Joe Biden let the Republicans walk into this. Here's what I don't understand: how they fell into the whole Social Security thing. It's not like they didn't have a copy of the speech beforehand. They still walked into it knowing what the speech said. Okay. And you know, I mean, he got them on TV to admit that they won't do it. But again, like he said, it's going to be the proof is in the pudding. For me, the more interesting part about this, really, it wasn't who was there. It was that crazy, insane, wackadoodle Sarah Huckabee Sanders afterwards.
Ooh, I know.
When she described all this stuff and then said the choice is between sane and crazy. You're the party of crazy. What are you talking about? But even more, I think the most egregious thing was, and some people did cover this today, I saw in the news, but she was talking about the Little Rock Nine and the statue of them and how they're such heroes, but didn't mention that, you know, yeah, they integrated the schools and you put a statue of them right next to 3 Confederate soldier statues.
Right.
Let's be honest about this. But I mean, she had all of the. I mean, she checked every box of all their scare tactics and words, the woke mob and CRT this and, you know, trans kids this. I mean, she just hit on everything
Arkansas,
everything that's a cultural issue to them.
Culturally viable as anything.
Jill, there's something wrong with your audio. You sound like you're hollow.
But
I do?
Now you're better.
Okay.
But I think the thing of it is that it was such a juxtaposition because Joe Biden specifically talked about things that will improve people's lives. When he talked, they couldn't clap for for a $35 cap on insulin. And I know some of them are diabetic.
They don't care, but they come across like abusers. I'll be honest. I think the GOP party is a very abusive party. I think that they come across as this, I don't know, like you freaking went into like, you know, Annie's home of the orphanage. They're like the orphanage. You know what I mean? Like freak, like the GOP party comes across like an orphanage from the 1930s.
Look, and Trump is Miss Hannigan.
Right. And he's Miss Hannigan. Because I'm telling you, that shit that they do, and then one for all and all for one. You know, you've got like these Asian women who try to front, who basically came from a rice field in their life, immigrating here, standing up with the whole thing like down with immigration. And I'm like, you weak, spineless little bitch. You know, it's like, I have no respect for any of them. The same with the grifting, you know, stripper Anna Paulina Luna, who basically the reason her name is Luna is because her name probably wasn't on her birth certificate in California in that year for illegitimate babies. They didn't tend to put the name of the father on there. Bitch probably didn't change her name at all. She just had to use it.
No, she actually added that before she ran.
I'm telling you, in 1989,
we're gonna get to her. It was just our last talking point tonight. Okay. Definitely.
Okay, you know, I think that there was, you know, for a party that will sit, I can't stand to sit and watch anything of Fox News. I can only catch it in clips that I see on YouTube or Twitter or whatever. I just can't stomach it. But when you see those clips, they're like, oh, how come he's not talking about things that are real, you know, kitchen table issues that matter to Americans? That's all he did. That entire almost 2-hour speech. Let me tell you, for it to be a 2-hour speech, it was a good speech because I would have been asleep after about 90 minutes. It was
phenomenal.
It was a long speech, but he was very specific about these kitchen table issues. And make no mistake, American voters, Republicans told you who they are. They told you what they're going to do, what they're not going to do. And then after the State of the Union, how they showed their asses then on national TV, they then went into committees and showed their asses all week at those weaponization of, you know, Joe Biden's trying to get people jobs. He's got the highest job numbers of any president. They're talking about weaponization of the government because Twitter took down their posts.
Yeah, but my boy Dan Goldman sort of scooped up a few.
Oh, yes, he was
some
good.
Bald heads that
him and Max Frost.
Some heads bald. He totally did. But you know, in my mind, I thought that it was. I thought it was amazing. Every time I see the hashtag SOTU, I almost always want to go sign of the times, but I don't know.
SOTT.
State of the Union. Yeah, I always have a little bit of dyslexia when I look at those at hashtag. But I thought Joe was fabulous. It might have been, for me, one of the best State of the Unions I've ever seen, even above Barack Obama. You know, I just really loved that little savvy bit where he came for her and lured her into a trap. And I said, ooh, that's my Scorpio there. Scorpio will walk you down. And I was looking at Kevin McCarthy's face because he knows that Joe's very good at that. And he had a look on his face like, oh man.
He looked like he wanted to be anywhere else but there.
But I think that Marjorie Taylor Greene, a few days before that, had been moaning that $212,000 isn't enough money for her. And she was, you know, singing and washing herself like a monkey at the zoo. She has been doing that since they got him in. It's been like watching an orangutan wash himself, you know, and do things just because she's so vulgar. She's just vulgar. And it's like, you know, we excuse the orangutans, but this is a person who's supposed to be a human being with social graces. Bitch ain't got not one. I'm not surprised she didn't sit up and put her feet up and suck her own toes at that State of the Union.
You're back to the toes again.
Awful.
You would think she'd be more concerned about the fact that she only has 3 toes than she is about the fact that Twitter took down her post.
She is so awful. She's appalling. And then got butthurt a couple of days later because it wasn't just the women in Congress who were like, oh, she was mad at the women on The View because they had to say something. Who wouldn't? Child, honey, let me tell you, people gassed it. Men were talking about you. You want to make it like women had a bitch fest, honey? They've been laying odds on you. Like
other countries were talking trash about her.
Yeah, like she's like one of the most unfuckable congresswomen that we have. I think people would choose Dianne Feinstein over her. Because she's so nasty. She's just nasty. She looks like some roach-infested hotel as a human being.
When you take the trailer park to the
Thank you.
Jill, you want me to leave? You want me to leave, Jill?
That's what this is.
She's a nasty hoe. And that's the truth. She is. And you can see it.
All the hillbillies, rednecks.
I just want to know, where are her children? They need to, I would hang my head in shame. She's so awful.
And now she's wondering why
Mr. Man with that mannish body she's got.
Let me get to some comments before I fall off my chair. That was okay.
This is why her husband's leaving her.
Yeah, because she likes to she probably role plays.
Okay. So Regina says Biden throwing shade was pretty good too. People with dementia don't throw shade.
Yes.
Black Beauty says, good call on Marjorie Taylor Greene. Shameful, just shameful. Regina goes, quote, white trash, unquote, will never be removed from my lexicon. Sorry, not sorry.
You can't remove it.
What else we got here? Black Beauty says, Aisha, what's revealing is how the GOP literally has no shame on their horrible belief systems for the world to see them as they are.
And she acted like she was in a Walmart instead of at the State of the Union. That's what she acted like. You know those pictures of people that go into Walmart with their American flag bikini tops on and their underwear with the hole in it and walking through the Walmart, rolling with their kids, their kid that's way too big to be in a carriage and their feet is dragging on the, I mean, that's
and then they want to go try on clothes.
Oh my God.
That's what she reminds me of. And it's like, wow, now remember, I lived in Georgia for a little while. She reminds me of those people who are way down deep in the red.
Oh, she's from that area.
Backwoods areas of Georgia that's why they don't let people like her usually hold office.
But she's Forsyth County, if I'm not mistaken. Isn't she Forsyth County?
Yeah, she's embarrassing. And the state of Georgia had better get it together, because if you continue to let that woman be who she is, you're always going to be just one state above Mississippi.
Talking about she used to make more money before she became girl. You had a husband who was working. Your husband worked, you dumbass. She's still stupid.
And on the side, she was probably stripping. I don't.
Stripping what? Bananas?
No, in the Walmart parking lot.
Oh Lord! Oh,
please,
you ladies, you and MTG,
and it's all nude there. It's all naked there.
Oh my gosh! Some other comments we got flying in. What a start we've got out of the gates. Regina says the Twitter hearing was hilarious. I predict Lauren and MTG are history after this cycle.
Oh my God!
Well, wait, for the first time ever in United States history, pussy ass bitch is part of the congressional record. Okay,
I know,
because of those two pussy ass bitches.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. My God.
For real, it's really bad. And it's embarrassing at this point because, these are people making a mockery of situations. She was walking around with a balloon this week in office, and these are people who should not hold a position. And what's really bad about the GOP and the Republicans and the other ones in the House is why should Michelle Steele keep winning? Oh, because she probably goes, and why are her Asian constituents in Orange County voting for her? For the other one too, because they're not doing anything. They're not doing one thing. The interesting thing is a friend of mine who's Vietnamese, he said about Orange County when they vote for, like, what is it, Michelle Steele, and then there's another one, so-and-so Kim. Now, mind you, their last names are like Montgomery or, Steinbeck or whatever, because they've married white men. But what's really interesting is that a lot of older Vietnamese people have come, and immigrants come to this country, and they hear republic.
Right. So
and they believe that that's right. And so, they believe that this is what they should fall into. It's conservative. It's what they should be doing and voting for.
All right. I want to get back.
So,
I want to get back to this.
Back to that, no, but here's my other.
But they're doing nothing, is my point.
They're
and
not doing
I don't know why they're not going to.
And Jim Jordan is head of a committee and still does not have a damn jacket.
I know.
Go buy a jacket, dude.
I know.
God.
It still looks like he's sleeping on the floor of his office.
He's wearing the same outfit he had on in 2016.
I know.
The man hasn't washed, taken a bath, anything.
He looks dusty.
I think he smells bad.
Let
too.
me
It totally looks like it.
Black Beauty says September 2022, MTG Marty Taylor Green's her husband filed for divorce. Kudos to him. Black Beauty puts a smile emoji to that. But so the part of Biden's speech I think is, as not King Cole is unforgettable, is when he mentioned about Social Security.
Yes, that was what he did.
And Mike Lee faked shock.
Yeah,
dude. All night long, MSNBC ran that tape of you.
And Rick Scott pretending like I never. What are you talking about? And he's like, it's in the bill that you presented. And even funny enough, guys,
Mitch McConnell,
Fox News even went and addressed Rick Scott straight up on Fox News and said, dude, it says that, he goes, well, that's the Democrats' talking point. And the guy
McConnell's talking point too.
And the guy on Fox said, it's not a talking point. It's in the bill that you want to sunset all of these programs. I mean, he whoever the guy was, he's somebody hateful on Fox, but I had to give him credit because, he did come for him, because there's no way they want to get rid of that because they're really fleecing the United States. And now they used to always fleece it when they had somebody in office, but they figured out they'll just fleece it the whole way by stealing everything they can. These people come in and take your rug, the house, the carpet, the nails. They take everything. That's the Republican Party. And that's just who they are. They're gross. They are the grossest. They are the villain in every story.
But Mitch McConnell is too through with them too, because Mitch McConnell was up there the next day talking after Joe Biden said that, he's like, yeah, Rick Scott's not going to win his primary. And because he's been going on his little tour with Joe Biden the last couple of weeks for the IRA, the groundbreaking stuff. So Mitch McConnell is pretty unnerved about them too.
Well, not to interrupt, but during the thing, they flashed on Mitch McConnell, and it just looked like he was there, but he wasn't there. He was like, and I kept thinking, oh boy, they threw you to the curb, you old dog. But what's going to happen is the old dogs are not going to be happy being run by a girl who couldn't pass a GED 3 times or Marjorie Taylor Ho. They are not. So believe me, they are conspiring, and they will figure out with McCarthy.
Mitch McConnell was talking about taking Rick Scott and Mike Lee off their committee assignments.
Yes,
behind that stuff. I believe they actually did. I believe he actually did.
Well, believe me, they are going to work at how to cinch them up, because the party is not going to get anything at the rate that it's going. Nothing. And they know
he can't be majority leader anymore. He's mad at them, and he's going to get back at them. He is.
Wow.
They don't call him the Grim Reaper for nothing.
True.
So on a scale of 0 to 10, how would you rate Mr. Biden's State of the Union speech?
I thought it was a 10.
I thought it was a 10.
Yeah.
I thought the rebuttal was a 0, because it's like, girl, you had the speech in advance. You prepared your remarks in advance, and you still sat there and went. It was like an abstract painting. There was no shape, no form,
She's too sloppy
nothing that
for
you could
me.
make
Right.
out. It was.
She
It
looked
was
like.
Right. I mean, it just looked like she lost 20 pounds just for the photo op, and that was it.
I didn't like how she slouches. She doesn't look dignified, but I don't expect anything more from Arkansas. We were lucky to have Bill Clinton when we got him. But even then, I've always thought, and I have a grandfather from Arkansas. So I'm going to tell you right straight up. Ain't nobody trying to move to Arkansas or any of it or have any of their people control anything about us. It was always a hillbilly redneck, red dirt rednecks in that town. Always.
Let's be clear.
And I know a lot of people are going down right now. A lot of developers that I know have decided, and they're actually going to flee. They're going to they're going to clean it out. And then it'll be a place to go and invest. But unfortunately, that's what's happening. It's the new Austin that's happening. But time to get in with your little investments and do your stuff. But ain't nobody trying to look for anything honesty. Them same good old boys and the same people that killed JFK in our country are still have children and offspring through Texas, through Louisiana, through Florida. That same nasty thinking of racists, they exist. And it's a long time before they're going to be gone. Sadly.
I started by saying about Sarah's thing about the Little Rock Nine. In that speech, she also talked about limited government. What she did not mention when she also invoked them is that it took the federal government and the 101st Airborne Division of the United States military to walk those students in on September 23rd, 1957. Okay, so it was big government and the federal government that had to go in because their limited government governor was trying to disenfranchise them and go against the Brown decision and Brown too.
It took a lot of big government in Arkansas
exactly
to keep Black people down and to keep them from getting their educations and to keep them from knowing that they weren't enslaved. It took a lot of big government down there to corral people and have crooked judge and outcomes and different legal things. It took a big government, so they can fuck themselves with that. Oh, we want small government. No.
They don't want small government. The party that wants to tell you what to do with your body, what your kids can and can't do with their body, who you can and can't love, what school you can and can't go to, what you can and cannot study in school. That's not limited government. That is governmental overreach. That is human control. And truthfully, that's almost legalized slavery. What they're trying to do.
That's what they're trying to do.
And look, here's the other thing that I looked at too. Remember when he said the stuff about the laws that would sunset? The first thing I did when Biden said that, I went to go look at our rights, our citizenship rights, and our voting rights, because I'm like, if they're talking about sunsetting those things, how vulnerable is our freedom as Black people in this country?
Very much. And they want to sunset a lot of it, and it's really, they said that with DeSantis. His thing, where he was trying to have it where all athletes were going to have to report when they got their period, all female athletes. He backed away from it. And the reason is these are all testing grounds. Their
parents were upset
to see
about
how
it.
much, and on both sides. So the problem is that it's very important to, I don't know whether we create a shadow Republican Party and pretend for a long time that we're Republicans in order to throw their polls and throw their whole everything. But we got to do something because we've got to show up at these committees, not completely like Democrats, but maybe as Republicans, so that our outrage as X, Y, and Z starts to be a little bit more valid and they take it seriously, because then they think they're going to lose votes. But keep it close to your chest what you are, Democrat or Republican. Keep that shit tight.
College Board, I'm looking at you because I'm checking your financials. I believe that that DeSantis thing, that's about money.
So Wig Maniac is here saying, sorry I'm late. Hey, you're right on time. You're right on time. Black Beauty says, and let's not forget how Mitt Romney came for Scott, telling Scott what an embarrassment Scott is. To your point, how some Republicans come for him. Also,
gonna have
Regina,
to.
Because he's
Regina
sick of
says
it too.
Romney went after Santos too. And then Black Beauty says, wow, 9/23 is my daughter's birthday.
Also
Same
mine.
as yes, Little Rock 9-day. Thanks for Aisha for the knowledge.
Tell your daughter she has a wonderful birthday. It's the same as mine.
Okay.
That's
All
really the
right.
only reason I remembered that fact from high school.
Okay, let's move on to our next conversation piece. U.S. shoots down a second high altitude object days after Chinese spy balloon and another unidentified high altitude object was spotted flying over Canada today and was shot down, by the way. What's going on with all these?
I saw the press. I saw the presser from Canada earlier, like before the show, and I had to ask myself the question: is it that these are happening more frequently, or is it that because people have the technology to see, like and capture it with their phones and things like that, that it's getting more widely reported? Because I mean, think about it, as Americans, we would be pretty ignorant to think that these things don't happen all the time and our government doesn't tell us. These things happen all the time. Our government does not tell us. The fact that people are now seeing these things, right, is I think what is surprising enough. But I'm curious about the this most recent one. This one they said was like the size of a small car.
But the one that the one that got over Alaska, it sounded like it's pretty big.
Yeah, they said that one was pretty big, but the one today was like the size of a small car. And when Jill first tweeted that there was another UFO, I'm like, oh my God, really? Are people talking about UFOs?
Well, it's so funny because everybody thinks.
No, I wasn't thinking those kind of UFOs, though. Right. I was thinking about the flying saucer.
It is kind of, I mean, clearly, a lot of people are like, it's aliens and we shouldn't have shot down the aliens. And it's kind of like, there's always somebody who's so contrary that we've worked with them in our offices. We've gone to school with them. There's always that numbskull who just decides to be contrary, right? So there was people online like, I don't know if that was like, and wait, remember, we're working with very limited information, making these grand overture statements like I would have never shot them down. Bitch, you don't even know what the fuck is going on. You don't even know what they are dealing with. You think they've told everybody what the hell they looked at? If they felt like, we gotta shoot this shit down, like they didn't do it with the balloon. The balloon was fucking like, this was like, oh no, hell no. Because here's the thing, if I'm not mistaken, the one we shot down over Canada today was an American U.S. jet that shot it down.
Yeah, they worked together.
Our F-22. So
yeah, but they were working together. That's what the person in your State Department said that Trudeau had spoke with Biden and they decided on how to handle that. But it's just so bizarre to me that American people are sitting here. Well, how come we don't know what's going on and what's this?
Right.
It's like, wait, you're acting like the government is supposed to go. Joe Biden's supposed to get on air and be like, girl, let me tell you about this balloon.
We've got a national Zoom, guys.
Who did this? And it's like, no, you do realize that's about our safety. There are things that we are not supposed to know as citizens, because guess what? If we get to know them, guess who else gets to know them too? The enemy.
American people are so fucked in the head. They think this is like a fucking episode from Big Brother. That's what, when you go to the White House, it needs to be that. Like, there are no boundaries in the world of being an American. And as soon as I hear a stupid comment now, I just sit back and go, were they American?
Well,
because I happened to watch a video the other day. I kid you guys not. I think I posted it, which was when it was an old vintage clip showing all these, I can't believe that they're just trying to take over our rights. Can you believe I can't have a beer and drive in my car after work? They just want to tell us when we can drink and can't. Wait, and now they also want me to wear a seatbelt. There were literal people who back in the 70s were so freaked out about that. They wanted to be able. There's something wrong with a man when a man can't come off work and go and have a couple beers and go drive his car.
Or remember when teachers used to be able to smoke in the teachers' lounge? How come I can't smoke in the school full of kids anymore, and they're developing lungs?
Yeah, it's people. Like this is who our country is, and now it's like I can't believe that they shot somebody down, and then there's people like saying the aliens, that's really terrible for the aliens. And I'm like, yeah, we don't even know what this is. First of all, I'm just concerned if it was any extraterrestrial, why the hell haven't they shot anybody up when they went into their territory?
Right.
Because our only territory is Earth. The minute you step outside of this, I mean, who's owning it? If there is somebody out there, they have every right to do whatever they want to do because humans don't own it.
I mean, this story is ripe for the people who wear tinfoil hats, okay, in this country. The people who, the conspiracy theorists, I mean, they're loving this because they can make up stuff and they're going to try and figure out a way to monetize it at some point. YouTube. Because that's also what happens with the tinfoil hat people in America is that once they make up this rabbit hole, they then have to profit off of it. But like I said, there are things that we don't need to know. I'm trusting, and it might be naive on my part, but guess what? I'm trusting that there are enough people in the FBI, the CIA, and all of our intelligence agencies who know what the hell they're doing and have a whole lot more information than I do and more knowledge than Bubba Dumbfuck in Mississippi knows.
Or on Reddit.
Right. Like he's going to be able. Please, you can't even add 4 + 4. How are you going to solve the problem of the UFOs? I don't get it. So I just think that we need to throw our role on that.
It's our entitlement here. It's so funny. I sent an email because I drink this special water that's from Romania, and it's an amazing water, right? But I haven't seen it since after the pandemic and a little bit, right after the pandemic, and then things were slow. And then I wrote off this email like, hey, are you guys ever going to get it back? And then I was sitting there talking to my husband. And I said, wow, I'm really stupid. The Carpathian Mountains are like located like through Ukraine, Romania. I'm like, I have no fucking reason why I can't get my water. But there I was, Miss Dumb American. Do you know where my water and why I can't have water? We have to put ourselves and check ourselves sometimes about what we think we need to know and what we do know, and and making up these god awful stories. I'm saying if they shot it down, it's like if I decide to take a spider out of the house or kill it, or a fly or a bee, or I try very hard not to, but if it's something I can't, I'm like, oh hell no, I'm gonna have to get the fly spray, and I don't like to do that. For me, I've kind of imagined those guys, we don't respect the seriousness of our military's jobs, and we make it as stupid as like a Top Gun movie or something like, in fact, our minds have been so filtered with pollution and utter bullshit that we don't take it seriously. About this is a human being's job. We didn't do it with COVID with our doctors and our nurses. We're not taking it seriously. But we're not respectful people. And we think we know every goddamn thing under the sun just because it's online. And it's really fucking embarrassing. Hey, and by the way, Twitter is not the world. When you get off of Twitter, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And
the other reason that we struggle too, why people don't really respect and understand what our military does, is that we got so many people trying to cosplay soldier when they go to the State House with their AR-15s.
Girl, it's
like, if you really want, this is what I firmly believe personally. I feel this way about people who are in gangs who do shootings, and I feel this way about people who want to carry AR-15s. If you are so big and bad and you want to fire a gun, go to hell overseas, join the military and do it there, because they need troops.
But you can't have anybody that impulsive You know, it's so funny. It's like,
it's also cowardice too.
It's so funny if you've ever met people who had a certain street power or whatever. The ones who were like ready to bounce off the walls to do something were not the ones that got shit done. It was usually the very practical, pragmatic, quiet types that actually could be the most lethal. Yeah. Not somebody gunning, pardon the pun, to, think I'm such a badass. It's terrible.
Yeah, it's like, look, that's just as bad as Donald Trump, again, cosplaying a superhero by superimposing his head on Superman's body.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Like, dude, you're 200 pounds over the limit.
Okay. Black Beauty says,
his breasts are bigger than mine.
Unfortunately, our country mandated in most states over a decade ago removed civics class from the educational system.
Yeah,
this is a result of uneducated citizens. They're just not educated properly.
No, they're not. And if you let Ron DeSantis continue to tell College Board what to do for the rest of the country and other places, it's going to be that way. Because first of all, you have people who don't have a clue about history, education, or anything deciding what kids should and shouldn't learn. It's like a post that I said on Facebook, on Twitter today, when someone was talking about these kids that we're going to talk about later and said that they're indoctrinated. No, indoctrination is when you only want to learn the history that you like.
Right.
Not the whole story, not everything in context, not the nuances of everything. And
people can't even get their vocabularies.
Yeah, and
in America,
American
right?
Education is removing the nuance and the context, and they're removing the truth. You're going to have people like Sarah Sanders say, "Oh, well, the Little Rock Nine couldn't go to school because they were Black." Then all of a sudden, one day, the white people stood back and they walked in and went to school and were happy. But if you read the stories or the books by those people, like was it Melba Patillo Beals will tell you that somebody threw acid in her face.
Right.
When she was walking down the hall.
But you have to understand, there have been movies, there have been things. Most of these kids don't even read the books, but they are going to tune into the 1619 Project.
Oh, yes, they are.
Hulu. And on that note, you guys know I'm not the greatest lover of like hip hop and everything, but I do put the onus and hope that the young people in that direction, because it's not my generation of music. So I'm just going to say it. It's not that I don't dislike, but my whole thing is, if they start showing interest, they change the world, because all kids of all colors follow them. It's really important to make sure that, you sort of have this offering so that, the kids aren't going to get it from their books. And also, let's be honest, most kids don't even barely read a book anymore or even listen to an audio thing. The saddest part of all is how ignorant the country is becoming, like really ignorant. And there's only going to be a very small handful of educated people. At one point, you go, wow, after the civil rights movement, people were able to go to colleges and things were a little bit more open to people, and not able for it to be utilized. And somebody who I think people should listen to a little bit is Robert Smith, the billionaire, entrepreneur, Black billionaire.
Robert F. Smith. Yeah.
He's amazing. He said some interesting things about his family giving him tools, extending all the way back to his family in Oklahoma when, certain family members, I guess, lost their money or whatever. But he also took a chance and decided to go into Wall Street when he had been an engineer most of his life. These are really interesting people that beyond the rap world and the music world, these are people that you need to take your children to their symposiums or their events, or this is how we have to do this going forward, because it's just too critical.
Yeah. Black Beauty mentioned the removal of civics class in education. You know what else they took out of education too?
The fun?
No, cursive writing. Kids do not learn how to write cursive.
I know.
And part of that is because we're in such a text and typing world. But the other side of it too is that I thought about this when I was like, they're taking so many things out, but they're not putting anything back. Okay. And when I had to learn how to write cursive, first of all, it was a challenge because I was left-handed being taught by right-handed people. And so it took a different kind of skill, but also a different kind of attention. When you had to trace all those, remember they had the things where we had to trace this and that and learn all the curly cues. And if you didn't do it right, the teacher did whatever. It teaches you a different kind of discipline. And we have taken all the discipline out of our educational system. Our kids don't know discipline. And with discipline also comes patience, because you had the discipline to wait till you were able to write your name in cursive perfectly. You had the patience to stick with it. Our kids don't have patience either anymore because everything is so automatic. And when you don't have patience, your expectations are different. And when your expectations are different, because your expectations are different, we end up with the world that we have now.
But this is what's so interesting. Our country might just be the only country that haggles over these laws that were already in effect. And everybody else looks like they're trying to add to things, like as opposed to America always trying to take things away from their kids. It's like you go to France and you're like looking at things and they're trying to figure out how to add a different curriculum. And other countries are trying to say, we'll have more Mandarin classes, we'll have more Cantonese. They're adding. But in America, the fact that they think taking away something is beneficial is actually crazy, because for me, that's like sitting at a plate. Imagine you are sitting at dinner and somebody comes, sorry, I'm going to just take away your silverware right now. And then you're like sitting there and then, I'm sorry, I'm going to take away your potatoes. Yeah. That's what it is in America. It's like you start out with something, very little to be exact, and then you end up with, you're in the hole trying to get a spoon or a spork.
And then people, you want to know how people end up voting for someone like
for the shit they're taking away. Fuck them.
Right. And you want to know how people end up voting for someone like Donald Trump? If you keep them stupid,
yes,
they will come. If you keep them stupid, they will come. What was it? Lyndon B. Johnson said, if you convince the poorest white man that the black man is his problem, you can pick his pocket forever.
Well, we could say that a million times and they still haven't gotten any smarter about that. No. They still don't believe it. They don't. It's so funny. I mean, we can repeat this to them like over and over, and they still are just the type of people that are like,
because
I just get a leg up on you.
They don't have the critical thinking skills, because
they're not intellectual.
Education too.
So Black Beauty says, Aisha, thank you. Also, Jen is saying, Aisha, exactly. Cursive is a necessary discipline that has been taken away from today's children. So sad. I loved writing in school. Black Beauty says, you're absolutely correct, Aisha. Thank you for bringing up these key points. Your educational appetite of expression is fantastic. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
All right. So let's move on to our next conversation piece that we have here. And we're just flowing as usual here. The earthquakes in Turkey and Syria. We talked a little bit about them in the introduction, but this is a seriously bad situation.
This is like the tsunami back, almost 20 years ago, right?
Yeah.
It just, they were already devastated countries, right? And just to see those people just not only lose everything, but lose so many people. The last count I saw was 20,000. I'm sure it's much higher than that now. I'm sure of it.
You're looking at Turkey, and Syria. You're looking at that whole region as a part of the Ottoman Empire. So the buildings in themselves are old. But what's so interesting is it wasn't necessarily the oldest of the oldest buildings that collapsed. It was like some of their newer, and who's to say, but I'm sure after they get through all of this, they will figure out, because we know Japan goes through a lot of heavy, serious earthquakes. It's a question here, even in California, like how up to date is everybody on their earthquake skills, the earthquake prep, the construction? because I'm of the belief that the last 10 years there's been so much corruption globally that I don't think that cities and places have been taking care of business at all. And there is the devastation. They're on 128 hours. A new baby was just pulled out after being, but to what fate, a lot of animals and different charities. I have a friend, remember I've spoken about him before, John Rose, Waves for Water. They go and put wells and things in all these different countries. I've been watching his post on Instagram to see if they're going to go out. There's a lot of our military guys, retired American military and other military from abroad. They come together and have rescue missions and build these extra parts of the infrastructure. So I imagine, but try to give to reputable places, not always just the Red Cross. There's a few that even he put up that I had on one of my pages to donate to. And don't be scared by the Arabic writing.
Right.
But there's just to make sure they can get, some kind of immediate access and be taken care of.
But you raise a good point about the structure and the safety of basically anywhere, because with climate change, these things are gonna happen more frequently.
You guys had an
New York had an earthquake like 2 weeks ago.
Yes, 4.5, which was 4
Buffalo.
Actually,
it was Buffalo.
Could you imagine if that happened to that scale in
It's
New York
not prepared
City?
at all.
Remember, New York City not only operates above ground, but a lot of it operates significantly underground. Their whole subway and tunnel system, right?
And the buildings are not built to roll,
Nope. And the buildings are built straight up, sky high. Remember what 9/11 looked like when those towers came down. Yes. Imagine that.
That's what Turkey looked like.
Entire city. That's what
Turkey looked like. And I'm sure everybody now, did somebody go and plant bombs inside everybody's home? Because it's the way that people build homes is how they come down. They typically, if you've done construction, it's not like a house just tips all the way over. That's really not even on any great, bad building site. But you have that. And you also, there was an earthquake in Texas and going up, there's a fault line going all the way right in the middle of America through Oklahoma and, steadily. So there was one there too. So we have some craziness happening. And I just don't believe that the governments they've been taking a lot of money from the pandemic, but I know in my heart they haven't put it back into their people.
No. But imagine
there must be a car chase going on here, guys. We're also a crazy city that likes to watch car chases like
LA?
Freaking. No, it's horrible because it actually becomes more dangerous.
Yeah.
And somebody drove through somebody's house the other night at 2 a.m. because they were too many. All the police there's helicopters. How much shit? Drones. It's like, just back the fuck off for a minute.
You just mentioned that fault line. I'm like wondering, why couldn't it be horizontal and like just cover the South?
I know.
Damn it. One day and just like break off and just
say, have at it.
Into the water. Because honestly, that's what they want anyway. If I could figure out a way to cut Florida all the way up through Texas off the country and just let them free float in the ocean, I'd let them.
Yeah. it's pretty bad.
But no,
unfortunately, when you said that fault line, I'm like, oh my God, imagine that. I'd be stuck with them.
Yeah, but it's pretty serious. And I know some parts of Syria are war zones. So who knows what access they're going to get to any help.
It's going to be an entire generation for them to even get to a point where they have finally completely cleaned up.
Yeah, that's
rebuilt. An entire generation is a 25-year period. Think about that, because you think about how long it took for them to rebuild the site where the towers were here, because we had the infrastructure, the money, and also because there was that determination to do this afterwards. But think about that devastation over there. You're talking about more than 20,000 people dead. You're talking about miles and hundreds of miles of land and destruction. Where are they supposed to put all that rubble and stuff? They've got to figure out places to do that. And this is after they're not going to be able to recover all
we have a
that
really
they've lost, which is a very sad thing.
There's a really significant situation where, the road from Syria, I think just out from Syria, there's a connecting road, and Turkey, that's just been demolished, just totally. So it's really difficult to get any help to them. And their crazy ass fucking leader doesn't really want anyone's help. So I don't know. What's his name? Abadoo, Yabba Dabadoo. What is his name? He's about as much of a bonehead as anybody on the Flintstones could ever be. But what is his name? And his dumb but his pretty but stupid ass wife, heartless, cold piece.
This is going to be something that's going to take them a long time to recover from, and they're going to need help from the entire world, really, to help start to put things together. Not even to put things right or to put them back, to put things together, to get people basic needs like water and food and shelter and warm clothing, because remember, it's also freezing over there. That's the other concern that they have are the temperatures, particularly at night.
Yes, that is true. Good point.
And that's affecting the rescue.
Like I've seen pictures and I've listened to some reports, and it's really bad.
But I will say that it is not only one of the scariest things happening. There's a lot of things going on. Let's not forget what's happening in Ohio as well, with the derailment of the train, where all those animals, it's like their own Chernobyl. It is Chernobyl, and they are not talking about it here. I get it. We have a lot that we have to focus on, but so many animals and people were evacuated and have toxic that land there, because of the vinyl and with the treatment of what they did to not have an explosion, actually is irreparable, probably for years to come.
It's like the Exxon Valdez oil.
Yes.
They're still secret. Look, they're still cleaning up that mess. When was that? With the late 80s, early 90s?
Yeah. Let's move on. Next conversation topic. Students stage a walkout in Alabama after they were told to censor their Black History Month program not to include anything before 1970. Aisha?
You see my face, right? You are Alabama, okay? You have a city that was known as Bombingham because of the amount of bombs that went off nightly. 1963. Bombing of 16th Street Baptist Church killed 4 girls. The 5th girl survived, who I do happen to communicate with, and she still suffers physically and emotionally from that day in 1963, and it is 2023. The bus boycotts were there. University of Alabama, the desegregation of all that, James Meredith, all of that kind of stuff. And you don't want people to know, particularly Black students and the white students too, to know the history before 1970. Why? Because if you're ashamed of your history, they're ashamed of their history. They don't want their kids to have to go and say, hey, Mom, Grandpa, how'd you feel about this? When were you doing this? Oh, why am I seeing you in my textbook? Okay, and this was just a Black History program. Okay, Black History Month program that the students were doing. So they were told to censor that for that reason. If they're going to tell students to do that for a presentation, a program, imagine what they're thinking about doing in their Department of Education when it comes to the study of it. And anything before 1970, I mean, then can we talk about what happened after 1970? You all still weren't fully integrated, your public schools, until what was it, 76, I think it was. So, I mean, how much of your history do you want to not talk about? But let's also remember that if you're going to censor history like that, Black history, then let's censor American history, which means anything before 1970, you can't talk about your Confederate soldiers, take down your damn Confederate flags, That's before 1970.
Mm-hmm.
They don't, anything before 1970 also means that you don't get to talk about Martin Luther King.
Right. Point.
I mean, I don't understand. I do understand where this is coming from. What I don't understand is why in 2023 kids are having to walk out and stage marches and protests like it's 1963. Period. I don't understand that. It's like you can't proclaim, Alabama, that you're the new South when you're treating your kids like it's the old South.
It's a good point.
You got to make a choice. Either you're going to be the new South or the old South. Because to me, the new South looks a whole lot like the old South.
Mm-hmm.
Good point. Jill, anything you want to add on that?
I mean, I think that one day people will look back at this time, and if there's anything, I don't know. I think the next phase where everything's going is leaps and bounds, because I think they'll be able to do anything they want with stupid generation of people. I think they will be able to really accomplish a future that is completely driven by artificial intelligence and a grab bag of all sorts of psychological things that will be targeting people. We needed to be in the phase of regulating certain laws with algorithms and things like that about how we're going to proceed forward with, UBIs and universal basic incomes and jobs, and getting people the correct training for the future, and, really like that, and how we're going to have food growth or prevent illnesses. We should have been there. So what always amazes me with these Christian freaks who pretty much want to call this country this, that, it'll never be Christian. It lacks heart. It lacks a soul for Jesus. It lacks something. It also, people want to talk about a utopia, because isn't that what heaven is supposed to be? But gee, they can't even try to help make it happen on earth. You see, that's the beauty of being human. Why wouldn't you want to? Everybody's got to die to think that there's something when you really can't tell anybody what's there. The reality is, why wouldn't we strive with all of these wonderful advancements that we have? And what I thought we had educated people with who were coming out of the racism. But when you have ignorant people on your team, they will drag you all the way down to the bottom. And that's a problem.
Yeah.
When you have greed, when you have people that don't want any kind of equanimity, nothing like that. When you have someone like a Jeff Bezos or really elite rich people, like, how much fucking more money do you need? Like, honest to God, what do you fucking need it for? To wipe your ass? Because it just comes to a point of like, oh, and to do that whole philanthropy thing, I'm going to give it away, but I want you all to tell me how great I am, but I don't really want to tell you that I gave away, I lived my whole life with 50 billion and I gave it all away. Oh, aren't I such a good fucking fucked up human being?
I mean, Alabama wants to live.
I can't even get away this money. I can't give it away. But please tell me how wonderful I am.
Alabama wants to live.
I'm with Prince. Shut your fucking mouth about your philanthropy. I don't really fucking need to know.
Look, Alabama wants to live like it was just founded in 1970, and then you have Mississippi over here having two separate justice systems, one for Black people and one for white people. I don't know if you've read about that, but their state legislature just decided that there's going to be a separate justice system for Black people. The white legislature decided this. Okay.
Right.
In a time when Black people are being killed by law enforcement recklessly. So they're going to have let's remember, Mississippi is where the 3 civil rights workers were killed, where Emmett Till was killed, where Medgar Evers was killed, the Freedom Summer, Freedom Rides. Yeah, that Mississippi wants to go back to the old Mississippi. So what I said before stands. The New South looks a whole lot like the Old South. It's like Republicans have found a way to go back in time by let's just change all the laws. We'll change the laws on the things that we don't like, and then we'll be back where we were.
Question here for you, Aisha. Black Beauty's asking, Aisha, please explain, if you can, what potential legal action can be taken to prevent further censorship of Black history education?
None.
Well, here's the problem with it. When you have a state, it depends on your state charter, depends on your state constitution, and how your state has education mandated in its constitution. For many states, the governor gets to have the ultimate say. So that's why in Florida, Ron DeSantis is able to do what he's able to do with regard to education. That's why Sarah Huckabee Sanders is able to do what she's able to do. Why Youngkin is able to do what he's able to do. So what people can do is, when these particular things, censorship and segregation, you got to treat censorship almost like it's segregation. You have to look for opportunities where your censorship leads to segregation. You can sue a school district for that, because guess what? We have a law on the books for that. We do have a law. We do have freedom of speech, and we do have censorship laws. However, there are those caveats when it comes to things like education. It comes to things that with regard to children and things like that. What I really think needs to happen is that we're at a point right now where we don't have federal oversight over educational systems in this country. And that's a problem. The only time our federal government has ever gotten involved in our educational systems was when there was a violation of federal civil rights. So, for example, school segregation, that was a violation of our federal rights. Separate but equal was not separate but equal. They based that on the Dred Scott decision and everything else before that. This is one of those really touchy subjects when it's going to take for people to bring this up starting at their local level, at your school board. Because remember, Republicans were very smart. They didn't start at the top with the presidency. They started at school boards. They ran for all the school board seats, and they fixed that. Then they ran for the city council seats. Then they ran for the state legislature seats, then the governor's offices, and eventually the presidency with Donald Trump. So the best way to combat it, Black folks, brown folks, liberal folks, run for those school board seats. I have an aunt. My aunt sits on a school board right now, and they get to decide, not just help decide the curriculum of a particular district, but they also decide on the budget, what money goes where, who gets hired in terms of a superintendent, and all of those things. And that's why I think we as Black people do ourselves a disservice when we only focus on the national races and don't really get into the weeds of our local races.
But we keep telling them over and over, and nothing changes. Sorry, after a while, there's nothing you can do. The fact is, they continue to expand on the boards of these school boards. And frankly, I think it's too late for people and their little kids, because we already see what they're doing with the others, with the charter schools.
Well, let me tell you
what the goal is.
Let me tell you something else about these school boards.
Because let me just say something. I feel like the way that the GOP applies their application of the laws is winning. Democrats are not in there enough to challenge it, or the people that are running don't understand it or know how to master that. But they have put in a lot of people who are able to make a new application of laws, local laws. And
but one of the reasons for that is that Democrats aspire, I'm not saying to have high aspirations.
And they've got the police involvement as well.
Yeah, but Democrats often aspire to the higher offices rather than the smaller ones, which is where those rules and those laws get made. And I'll tell you something. If you look at any school board, first thing you got to ask is how many of these people on this school board actually have kids that are in school? You'd be surprised. There was one school board I can't remember what state. I want to say it was like Montana or something. And everyone on that school board was over 70. They haven't been in school in what?
But
half
nobody
a
wants
century.
the jobs, Aisha. This
kids.
is the problem in America, period. When I said my brother drove from Florida through up to Pennsylvania, he marked how many no longer cities, towns, they don't exist. And I was watching a documentary about Newfoundland today, an island, a different place where their biggest fear right now is, wow, this one family, 6 generations, have been fishmongers. Well, guess what? The kids that they educated so well don't want to fucking do it and have left. In fact, they have less people living there today than they ever did. So don't think that these new kind of conversations like with the World Economic Forum and all these things that have been going on, they've talked about it. People leaving areas. And it's happening even here in our small towns. They're not running for the offices because they want to either make more money. They're not married. There's the sociology of what's happened to just the breakdown in the Black community of family is one of the main reasons that's so genius how they pulled it apart.
We also have a problem too in that these lower seats like this, oftentimes, like I look at for example, I take my own state and I look at like some of our races like city council, our at-large seats in different cities and our school boards. A lot of those Republicans run uncontested. That's a problem. That is a problem. And that's not a Black problem. That's a Democrat problem, because at this point, you're just giving the seats away. And that is something that you'll find as a trend all across the country. Democrats are giving these seats away.
Got to move on because we got comments and follow up on this. So Black Beauty's asking, is refusal to educate the masses about Black American history already a violation of federal laws discrimination?
No, because we do not have a constitutional right to education. I happened to learn that a couple of years ago. Exactly. We have a constitutional right to the facility, the public space, but not to an education. That is not written in our United States Constitution, and in most states, it's not written in the state constitution either.
Okay, next, Black Beauty again says, Aisha, when you were just discussing that, where are all the Black people? All of this regarding the issues regarding educational censorship in the South. I mean, is this the new future? Black folks just accept this? No representation.
There's the gerrymandering. The other part too is the gerrymandering.
Where are the white people in most of these districts? I mean, where are the good white people? We're only still 14% of the population. Yeah. I mean, the reality is, no matter how much gerrymandering they do, they're still outweighing us. You need very strong voices. You need also allies in this field. We're only seeing white people who are the worst ones to show up and not enough good white ones. Sorry.
Yeah. And that is, I think when we have these conversations about race, Black people all the time, we have these conversations internally amongst ourselves all the time. White people, you all need to start having these conversations internally all the time and holding one another accountable, because the bottom line, I know you don't care.
They really don't.
Don't call yourself
not
an
enough
ally.
of them care. Not enough of them care.
Not enough of them care. But
because it's like they've been called for duty, this may not be a war, but there's a war here in the country. And the war is, we are calling you up unless we almost have to draft you to pay the fuck attention. That's what this is. This is a cultural draft about how fucked up do you want your country to become, because there's only so much that people of color can do, but white people really need to step up to and become allies. And we don't just need to see the Karens and the Kens showing up like they have been.
Yeah. And here's the thing. Black people aren't going to be able to solve racism. You know why? Because we don't have a problem with us being Black. We don't have a problem. We don't have a problem with that.
Also, there's a numbers game in America.
There's a numbers game, but
that's what I said.
But the bottom line is, the people that can fix it are the people who have the problem. Because guess what? That's why. Remember, back in the day, they used to call us what? The Negro problem. We weren't our problem. They considered us their problem. And if you have the problem, you fix your problem. You have to come up with a solution for your problem. we don't have the problem. So we can't fix you. We can't fix it because we don't have a problem with it. We're okay in our skin. You're not okay with us in our skin.
All right.
I don't know if that's true anymore. I'm just not sure.
Black Beauty saying, I'm beginning to believe that there's not enough Black people care anymore. Yes, as a Black woman, this is terrible, but geez, where are our people? I'm sorry, but
you know what?
Because the GOP is an abusive party. If you keep abusing somebody, they suddenly fall in line and go with submission.
You know, not only that, I have to say, I kind of,
or they go, it's not that bad.
I kind of agree with you on one hand, Black Beauty, because I sit and I look, when I look at Black people generationally, like, for example, in my family, we have from the greatest generation, my grandparents to Gen Z. Okay. So in between there's baby boomers, there's Gen X, and there's a millennial. And so one of the things that I've noticed is that later Gen X and millennials, there was this period where you talk about not enough Black people care anymore. I think you're seeing younger people start to care, younger, and I'm talking Gen Z. I think that other generation between when you get to my end of Gen X and older, through the millennials, there's that apathy there that I don't think by the time they realize that this is their problem too, they'll be too old to fight it.
Okay, let's move.
I don't think Gen Z is going to do shit.
Well, Gen Z is they're the ones holding these marches, March for Our Lives. They're the ones that were on the front lines of the
it's not enough. It's not enough of them. They're all concerned about what dress they're going to wear or what their pronouns should be. Stupid shit. That's not necessarily true. I'll say this: the Gen Z that are on Twitter, yeah. Okay. The ones that aren't on Twitter. All I know is that the results of this election were really awful, and we shouldn't have lost the House. And sorry, but Gen Z didn't come through all the way.
But did you all hear about Pennsylvania and their special elections? No, Pennsylvania Democrats got control of the state house this week in their special elections.
All right.
So that's something to watch.
Last comment on this, from this subject: we're still the Negro problem. Translated, only we can completely fix it. No excuses, just do it. All right. Last conversation piece. I had not heard about this lady till this afternoon. So you ladies got to tell me about this lady, Anna Paulina Luna.
She's the female George Santos.
Yeah.
Her name's not even Anna Luna. Her real name is like Anna Meyerhofer or something.
Meyerhofer.
Yeah. And her father's German, and they believe that her grandfather was a Nazi soldier in World War II.
Yeah.
She was, on one hand, she said she was very poor and this and that, and it was just her and her mother. And they didn't have any support systems. The rest of her family is like, poor? What do you mean? We supported her. They broke out pictures. The cousin broke out pictures of, she's like, yeah, they didn't, her mother was saying, no, she didn't spend much time with them. The cousin had like 5 pictures of them across their lifetime, from the time they were little kids to the time that, what was the last one taken in like 2015 or something?
Right.
And
she went to UCLA.
Yep. And
which is not a cheap school.
Put it this way. She was Carrie Lake, if Carrie Lake were a half Latina German.
Right.
Because she used to like Obama too.
Right.
So why?
And I think she's like Candace Owens.
And Roger Stone came out and said she was a stripper.
Yep. I think she's like Candace Owens and all these other people who go.
I found it odd that Roger Stone came and threw her under the bus. Mm-hmm. So, which shows me there's a little wrinkle in that situation, because remember, these are people who have aligned themselves with the whole Trump thing, but there's Matt Gaetz. So there's trouble in paradise for what happened, because when that whole Kevin McCarthy thing was going down, where no one was going to vote for him,
she wouldn't vote.
So she put herself as a target, but somebody's not pleased with her, because Roger Stone said she's a stripper, and he's got the receipts to show that.
Yeah, I think they regard her as a rhino.
Charlie Kirk girl.
Mm-hmm.
turning
but I
point?
think they regard her as a rhino, Republican in name only, and it was just to win this election. Again,
Right.
she's a grifter like George Santos. This is all about the money. Put it this way: there are a lot of people of color, Black and Latino especially, and there and Asians too, who know where the money is, and the money is not with the Democratic Party, unless you get to be a Kirsten Sinema or Joe Manchin. These people like George Santos and Anna Luna Meyerhofer, whatever her name is, they know that, look, if I decide to run as a Republican, even though I feel this way, that's where the money comes. The super PACs, all the money, all the lobbies, all, get to throw money at you. And you just get this nice cushy job. And all you have to do is just bobblehead.
Yeah.
That's it. And guess what?
She's from LA and they moved her to Florida. And
right.
That's where they worked this whole thing.
And there's something very fishy about that too, because is it Florida that you don't have to be a resident until like Florida and Georgia, you don't have to be a resident until like near the very end of your election or whatever.
It's a really weird one.
Yeah. You got to watch these Republicans, okay? Because they are recruiting people from God knows where and just planting them wherever
Turning Point is involved in all of that and putting the money through. That's Candace Owens' thing, but I don't know.
Turning Point.
Yeah, like I said, I had not heard of this person's name till you brought up this afternoon on our Twitter chat. I said, who is this?
Look, the only reason she was able to kind of stay underneath the radar. But the only reason she was able to kind of skate under the radar was because what George Santos was doing was so blatant and so loud and boisterous and in your face, and just he was so indignant about it that she kind of was able like, oh my God, I hope they don't look at me. My God. And now that they're kind of dealing with him and it's like, oh, now we have to start, put it this way. You've got some
like she said she was an Ashkenazi Jew.
Yeah, that's the other thing
to get voted, right? And come find out
she's got Nazi roots. Yeah,
was a guard, was in the army. Which I mean, to be fair, he was in it, and clearly was exonerated because he came through Canada through ways down through here.
Yeah.
So
but she also said her father was in jail, and her mother said her father was in jail, and there's no.
Her mother is shady too.
Yeah, there's no record.
So what is
her mother went to law school and then became an elementary school teacher.
How did she come to attention? Why is the attention on this lady all of a sudden?
Because I would have always had attention on her. I knew from the time there was something about her. She was almost too attractive.
Yeah,
and when the whole McCarthy hearings things was going on, she really became a pivotal person.
Okay.
And that's what was my red flag.
She shone a light on herself. She put the light, put it this way. She put the spotlight on herself when she became that one of 20 who would not vote for him. And then eventually changed her vote. But here's the other thing too. When reporters started digging and got to the George Santos thing, she should have known her days were numbered, because once they find one, they're going to keep digging for the other, because guess what? News media, different sites are trying to scoop each other. So,
she's a tourist.
Let me see if I can find somebody else.
She's like Tulsi Gabbard. These women were recruited while they were in the army, because she was in the army. She also ended up going to University of West Florida. But something is going on in our army with these women, and I don't know what it is, but they might want to start recruiting, because I believe that, and not recruiting, they need to start investigating where this changeover, that they'll just be anybody, because they're specifically looking for bimbo types, like pretty kind of attractive, and like, let's go for the Kardashian look this year, whatever it's going to be. Blonde kind of took a backseat for a little bit with the Republicans, because they're going for that target audience. You can see it by the way these women are. So it's very, very interesting. She was married to a man called Andrew Gomberski. I don't know what happened to him. Has anybody seen him? Because she's changed her name a few times. She said a lot about her father, who died actually in a car accident last year, so a couple of years ago. So there's something fishy. She came out saying that she was going to be exonerated and make everybody look like a fool. And it's just like, hey, bitch, we're still waiting.
Right.
I won't tolerate this, and this is my staffer, and I'm biracial, and all this other stuff she's going on about. All of a sudden now she's biracial, which has nothing to do with you being a really shitty person or not. It doesn't matter. Like, I don't care what you are.
Yeah.
You're just a grifter. And I think if they keep digging, they're going to find gold.
Oh, yeah.
I think this is only just the touch of it. She better fucking watch out, because they're going to be digging.
They are. And on a different note, Dens, we dodged the bullet with Tulsi Gabbard. Because that woman is a nut.
Right.
So was her father, though. He changed in Hawaii. Her father, Tulsi Gabbard, she learned from her stinky ass, stank-faced dad, because he was a Democrat. Then he changed to a Republican, and that's just who they are.
The Pepe Le Pew look is still not working for her. I'm sorry.
I know. Thank you. I know.
So a few last comments here from Black Beauty, saying, we already saw that one. Let's do here. She said she's a U.S. Air Force veteran, but what's not clear is what she stands for. Concerning, very. And also, this is the problem with American politics. Americans are just accepting of anything.
It's a lot to keep up with.
Again, this goes back to people being stupid. Yeah. I know in my heart and in my head, I do not want literacy tests and things like that, because they were historically used against us Black people to keep us from voting. However, there's a part of me that kind of is like, my God, can we just have them for Republicans? Because these people do not. It's like, read a fucking book. I'm sorry, I just can't.
Okay.
Sometimes I think that dumb people shouldn't vote. I just feel that way sometimes because of people like that. But I know in my heart that everyone has the right, and everyone should have the right, and everyone should. I just wish people would be more informed when they go about it.
The last word here on Anna Polina. She was in the U.S. Air Force. Unfortunately, she's no airhead per her Air Force training, etc. The problem is she's controversial because she gets away with it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
The problem is that these people exploit other things, other vulnerable, serious topics in our government, things that could bring people together, and they just create more things to become more divisive and to, get you off the scent of them. It's like, this bitch is so funky right now. Everybody needs to be like, going, what the fuck did you do, bitch? But now today she's dealing with some biracial stuff, and she threw that out there and as a distraction. And it's really sad. They all do it. They all do it to just take away.
Diversion.
Just, people just vet your candidates. Read as much as you possibly can. Learn as much as you possibly can. And if the person is not doing what they're supposed to be doing, do not be afraid to vote them out.
Okay.
It's that simple. I mean, use the vote, but also use your vote wisely. Make sure the person is going to do more than just hate the people that you hate. All
right. Cinema Canella goes, white people have, quote, the Negro problem and the immigration problem and money problem. It's a never-ending circle. All right.
Yeah.
That is it for another. Oh, that is it for another episode of. When we started, I thought we don't have enough to chat about. Lot of mercy, especially that first topic. Wow, wow, that was fire. That was fire. I think we have to have. At the end of this year, we have to have our top 10 lists. We need to have even though we're in February, maybe we have to do it quarterly. Who's our top 10, our monthly top
right,
10
exactly.
List? Our top
so
10
true.
list. Because it seems that there's certain people, would I say trigger the conversation? Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Merritt.
Those seem to be the two hot spots right
now. And don't get me started on Nimrata.
God.
Or like I like to call her Nimwit.
I feel like, when we start talking about her and others, it's like we're resurrecting some old Marvel comic book character that people go,
Like the
who?
old
What was
school
that? Oh, it was
Batman.
the one who sold flowers in the middle of the, like, oh, okay.
No, they all remind me of the old Batman show and like the different cast of characters, like the Riddler.
Oh yes, you mean the Riddler, the
that's who they
Joker,
all are.
Mr. Freeze,
But nobody's
Catwoman.
been like as badass as Julie Newmar, Catwoman. Best Catwoman.
Well, hey, hold on. What about Eartha Kitt too, though?
Yeah,
she was good, but if you look at Julie Newmar's body, that was ridiculous. The waist was this small. And here's the thing. No surgery. These women were not like, maybe she had her boobs done, but to be honest with you, I look at women from back in the day. Have you guys noticed, like on Instagram lately, people have like put a filter on Marilyn Monroe and like Liz Taylor and Dorothy Dandridge? I'm like, you bitches are never happy.
Why?
Like,
why?
I don't know, because they're not used to seeing.
Like,
and it makes them feel better to think that somebody isn't a natural beauty. It's a real messed up time that we're in.
Think about it. A lot of women. I was telling my daughter this the other day. I said, why do all women of a certain age look alike? They all have lips that look like they've been full of fillers. They all wear their eye makeup the same way. Everything's the same color. It's like,
no, let's not even start. I don't want to start going there. That's a whole. I don't want to start that. I don't want to start that. So Jen says, love the conversation. Regina says, we are resurrecting Zippy the Pinhead.
Exactly.
Right.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
She goes, are we having fun yet? You could also talk about Madonna. No, thank you.
Ooh.
No. That's another episode. We're at the end. That's very mean of you, Regina. I'm joking. That's to resurrect Madonna at the end of the conversation. That'll be next week. Thank you.
I just want to know who's the inventor of the fillers that wants everybody to look like, I don't know, it's frightening.
Like their face is swollen.
I tried it and I told you guys, like, I can look at the picture and see, exactly when I did it. And there's something that happens in here and it's fucking weird.
The only thing I've had is Botox, and I've had that for migraines, and it just got rid of some of the little lines across here. But even still, it's not significant enough to the point that it's like, oh, you have Botox. Like,
I'll be honest with you. I feel better when I hardly put even a cream on my face anymore. I actually think that my skin looks better when I don't do anything but soap and water and go on about maybe a little bit of moisturizer, and that's it. But I'm 100%. I think we're all just doing a little too much. A lot of people.
I only put makeup on to do the show today.
I know, me too.
Well, quick little final story. Many years, I was actually having a conversation with a friend who we used to go to concerts back in the day, and one of the people who I will never forget her true beauty, and she's still alive today, is a lady named Shantae Moore.
You told us about the time you met her.
And for people, and I remember meeting her, and I was out of it. I just went, wow. I said, wow. And I told her verbatim, I said, Shantae Moore, you may look good in the videos, but you are 100 times better looking in person.
Right. She's a good looking woman.
Yeah.
I mean, and still a very attractive woman. So on that point, we'll finish. So
somebody told me I needed fillers. Like, I went to a dermatologist. Like, you might need some fillers, like right in here. I'm like, I don't see what you're seeing. What do I don't need this.
Regina is laughing and smiling. Thank you, Regina. Thank you so much. So, as always, before we let the ladies go, we would like them to share their contact information. So, first up, and she's back. She's not 100% healthy, but she made it through.
I know. I'm a little tired now. I need to go to sleep.
All right, but where can people get in touch with you, young lady?
At Jill D. Jones, Twitter, and Jill Jones Music on Instagram.
Fantastic. And then there we go, Aisha.
There you go. Aisha Staggers, Twitter, AK Staggers, Instagram.
Excellent. Myself, you can get a hold of me. Website, the drvibeshow.com. Email, dr.vibeshow VIBE at the DR, VIBESHOW.com, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, The Dr. Vibe Show, Twitter at DR, VIBESHOW, and Instagram, at the Dr. Vibe Show. A few last things as we close out here. Again, if you're watching this on or before February 16th, 2023, if you want to learn more about podcasting, I'm hosting my last session of a 3-part webinar on how to podcast, and it's a hour and a half. You can ask me anything, and even if you register and you can't come, I believe you'll get access to all 3 of the webinars. So even if you can't make it, register, and I think you can get access to all 3 of them. Next up, as always, please subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube. And if you do it on YouTube, not only subscribe, but also hit the notification button. And also, too, subscribe to the YouTube channel, because we are now employing YouTube Shorts. So you're getting small little clips of Aisha, Jill, and LaLa in action. And thank you for everyone who is watching. They're getting fantastic response. So thank you for supporting the YouTube Shorts. And then finally, if you would like to promote your business or service on the show, contact me at dr.vibe at the dr.vibe.show.com. As we close, because this was a long one today, but it was a good one. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get smaller to get stronger. Block assumptions and aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. Remember to give yourselves grace. And don't just manage your time, manage your energy. We will see you next week on State of Things. And thank you for the continuous support. And if you'd like us to chat about anything, put it on the YouTube channel or wherever you're watching this. And we would love to talk about the subjects that you want us to hear about. Or you want us to talk about, not hear about. We want you to hear about, and we will talk about it. All right. So be well and keep the faith.